Hello, this is Ransom1690 back here with another video. And today, you know, I feel like just talking about something positive today, you know, because you see, we talk about a lot of negative stuff, and just I feel like uh, sometimes we gotta balance it out with something positive. So how can you be an anti-natalist and be positive about anything in this world? Well, if you ask me personally, I believe that not bringing anyone into this world and informing people of just how much suffering can be imposed on an individual when they're born here, I think that's ultimately the most positive message that can be spread. Because the fact of the matter is that this world is not good. It is not a nice place to be brought into. And if you're unfortunate to have family or just anyone who love you, who's able to take care of you when you are young and teach you the things you need to know to be an independent adult, then you have to learn it on your own. And it's hard to do that when you're doing this on your own. And when you're here and you don't feel like you have anyone to really express yourself to, or to really confide in, it feels very lonely. And that feeling in and of itself is a feeling of suffering, because you can be around a lot of people and still feel alone. And that's how I feel every single day, even though I'm around family and they're smiling in my face and they tell me they love me. It still feels like the loneliest thing, because I know that it is all theatrics. And it's no telling who you can trust in this world. So you're brought into a world where everyone is wearing a mask, where you're taught that you have to hustle, you have to grind, or you're gonna be a nobody, you're gonna possibly wind up on the streets. And who knows, maybe you may be unfortunate to be born into a family that's really abusive. And it's just no telling. Like, when you come here, you don't know what circumstances that you're gonna be coming here under. And so it's just too much of a risk to bring people here to experience that, to experience things like loneliness, like a stress, you know, having to figure out what they want to do with their life before they get too old and is considered obsolete by the societal, our societal system. It's just too much risk to bring anyone here to potentially go through that. And so I believe that not bringing someone here is the best form of love and compassion that anyone can ever have, because you're considering these things that this life can possibly suffer. You know, and when I watch other antinatalists talk about this subject, they say that parents who have children, that they are selfish. And I really didn't know exactly what to think about that, because, I just don't like to jump on a bandwagon and just agree to stuff just because it sounds good. I try to sort of see it from the other perspective to see, like, okay, well, what are reasons that someone may have a child? And that's exactly the reason why I asked my mom personally that day when we were in the car, like, why did you bring me here? And she didn't have a reason. And when I watch these anti-natalist protest videos where, people go out and protest anti-natalism, or I guess spread the word is better to say, not to bring people here to possibly suffer. And I mean, they lay out every single reason why it is a risk to bring someone here. And every single response I hear from the people who are in disagreement is things like, oh, well, what do you want? Do you want the human race to just go extinct then? Or that's a big one. Or, well, you don't want someone who looks like you. You don't want a mini me. You don't want someone here to spread your legacy. Like, people are actually saying that kind of stuff. Those are actually the reasons they give to why they feel like they have a right to impose life on another individual who is not here. And all of those responses are selfish in nature. Like, you can't say things like, oh, I want to have a mini me, and not say that you are having children for any other reasons that's not selfish. But for people who choose not to have children because of all the suffering that can be imposed on them in this world, they do so from a standpoint of kindness and of love. And I've noticed that when I watch anti-natalist channels, specific ones like, I think his name is Benedict the Truth, born into a corrupt system. Just people like them, people like Mr. Antinatalist, when they speak on why they will not have children, it is always from a standpoint of love and consideration. That, no, if I bring a child into this world, I don't know what it's going to go through. Like, it could go through suffering. And these people, they understand what it's like to suffer, as with a lot of other antinatalists and, regular, pronatalists too. They understand what it's like to suffer too. So I'm not going to say, oh, it's just anti-natalists who understand what suffering is and how it feels, because everyone in this world suffers. There are people in this world, though, who suffers more than others. And that's the thing. And a lot of people who are pro-life, they may try to find a reasoning to why it's still a good world to live in, to bring people into. They may try to find different kinds of excuses to just kind of ignore all of the cons of why this world is a broken world. But antinatalists don't do that. And when you have suffering on any scale, it hurts. It really does hurt. And there are people in this world who suffer more than others. And they have to live with that pain. And that's another thing too. The good things that happen in this world, that may happen to you, it's all temporary. It's all temporary. But if you go through something bad, what I've noticed is that it sticks with you, and it can stick with you forever. So let's say that you go to a concert and you listen to a musician that you like and you really love it. You're having the time of your life. Well, that concert has to come to an end. Let's say I go out to eat and I eat a good dish. It tastes really good. I really enjoy the taste. I enjoy the presentation. I enjoy just the nuances of flavor of the seasoning that's been put in a dish. Well, that dish has an end when you eat it all up. But let's say you are driving in a vehicle and you crash your car, let's say into a tree or something, and your face gets mangled, your body gets mangled, then you are in that condition forever. Now you can try to go through reconstructive surgery to fix the damage that's been done, but your body will never be the same again. Your face will never be the same again. Let's say someone throws acid in your face, or you get trapped in a fire and you get burned really bad by that fire, and you suffer from burns and from a disfigured face. Your face will never be the same again. You can get an incurable sickness. You can get cancer that will never go away. And so that's my point, that the good things, they are temporary. They always come to an end. But anything bad can happen to you. It can stick with you. It can never go away, depending on how severe It is. And it's not just physical pain, but emotional pain too. From, let's say, all your years of being abused by a terrible parent. Let's say you were unfortunate to be taken advantage of in a very intimate way, and unfortunately, I have to say it like that because YouTube has a thing for you saying what it really is, but I think y'all get the picture. Well, you can deal with post-traumatic stress from that. That can last years, decades even. And let's say you go to counseling and you get help for that, or you start taking medication. I don't know. I don't know if medication is really going to help for stuff like post-traumatic stress, but let's say just counseling. Well, it may teach you how to cope with the pain that you've dealt with psychologically from going through those terrible events. But you may have days where it still can overtake you. You will never be fully the person you was before you went through those traumatic events. And that's what I'm talking about. And so anti-natalists know this. They know this. They know how much it hurts to go through pain, to experience suffering, but even more importantly than that, they make no excuses for why the risk may be worth it to bring anyone else here to possibly have to deal with that. And that, for me, is the greatest act of love that anyone can have. And I often think about what I was going to say in one of my previous videos when I said, or was about to say, that how I thought that we as anti-natalists need to just not focus so much on what other people are doing and just focus on reducing our own suffering. I think about that a lot, and just how I decided not to put that out there because of how insensitive it was. Because that's exactly how our society is right now. We just all want to, well, not all of us, but a great deal of us just want to focus on ourselves and reduce our own suffering and not consider the other person who is going through and who may need to be lended a helping hand. Much more so bringing someone into this world for a selfish reason. So I have been around people who were like that, who were selfish, who did not give a damn about you, but they can smile in your face. They can pretend to like you, but they just see you as a means to an end, which is why I'm all for anti-natalism. Because I know if I had knowledge, if I was able to see exactly how this world was before I was brought into it, how selfish it was, how transactional, for the most part, I'm gonna say, human interactions were. If I was to see how my mom was gonna be, how my dad was gonna be, how screwed up my extended family, like my auntie, were gonna turn out to be, on top of just seeing the coldness of the world, seeing people who are being put out of their houses because they can no longer afford rent and being kicked to the streets. If I was to see all the suffering that was going on before being brought here, I would have chosen not to have been born. And so I know I would have wanted someone to speak up for me in saying, hey, this is a potential life that can suffer. It's not a good idea to bring this life here like this to a world that does not give two shits about it, that will just seek to use it for its own personal means. But I'm here, and it is what it is, and I've already talked about my situation and all that, so I'm not gonna go back through it again. But all I can do is make the best of things, as do all of us who are in this world. But I'm not going to make an excuse and say this life or this world is worth living, because I've seen too much. I've experienced too much to be able to say that. And so I'm following in the same footsteps to not bring anyone else here into this world of suffering. And that's another thing too. I'm able to acknowledge that if I was to be a parent, I would be the shittiest parent, because I know that I am not a person who's able to be committed to a child like that. I like doing things but to myself. I like doing my hobbies. I like, just having me time. And I'm able to admit that. And so me knowing that I will not be willing to fully commit to a child, I am not going to bring them here to be a victim of my own negligence. And that's another thing too. It was this one time where I was working at Walmart. Yes, ma'am. And this lady asked me if I was having children. And I told her no. Yes, ma'am. Just my mama and all that shit. Whatever, back on topic. But I told her no. And she told me, oh, well, don't be selfish. Don't be selfish. Just have like, she was telling me just have you a kid. I'm like, I wasn't an anti-natalist then. I didn't even know that was a vocabulary in the dictionary, But I instantly knew that there was something wrong with her statement because I was like, don't be selfish. What do you mean? If I'm not ready or in a position where I feel like I'm able to have children, if, better yet, if I just don't want them at all, then that's called being responsible. How is that selfish? And I just found it odd that she would say something like that. And this was a grown woman. So the most loving thing you can do is to be honest with yourself, be honest with the society that you know that you live in, and choose not to bring anyone else into this who can suffer. But that's all I got to say for today. So I'll get back to y'all on another one. So